They wore bronze and sandals, carried spears and shields, and strode across a landscape where gods watched from Mount Olympus. Yet the Greek heroes we remember, Heracles, Odysseus, Achilles, Perseus, are not merely warriors and demigods. Peel back the poetry and the monsters, and what remains are stories that teach us about courage, cunning, pride, and the limits of human power. Today we unmask these legendary figures and find the real lessons they were meant to teach. Consider Heracles, the mightiest of them all. His labors are spectacle. Slay the Nemean lion, capture the Heracles, clean the Augean stables. But beneath those feats lies a quieter narrative about responsibility and transformation. Heracles is not a brute who solves problems with force alone. He is a man burdened by guilt, driven to atone for a terrible mistake. Each labor is a lesson in confronting consequences and enduring hardship until character is reshaped. The underlying lesson? Strength without reflection can become violence, and true heroism requires facing the consequences of one's own actions. Odysseus offers a different mirror. Lauded for his intellect and verbal craft, he is the archetype of the cunning survivor. His cleverness brings him home, but it also brings trouble. The Cyclops episode and the Siren song show that ingenuity must be paired with restraint. Odysseus deceives, yet his deceptions cost him dearly, long years away from his family and the erosion of trust. The real lesson here is about the double edge of cleverness. Strategy can save you, but it can also isolate you when empathy is sacrificed for advantage. Achilles presents an almost opposite lesson: the tragedy of pride and the urgency of mortality. Invincible in battle, yet vulnerable in his heel, Achilles embodies the conflict between glory and life. His rage at dishonor drives him to acts that bring temporary fame but everlasting sorrow. When he learns the cost of his choices, the narrative forces us to ask what we value: fleeting renown or enduring relationships. Achilles teaches that unchecked pride and an obsession with legacy can blind us to the human lives affected by our decisions. Then there is Perseus, the hero who combines a modest background with a moral clarity. Tasked with slaying Medusa, he succeeds not merely through brute force, but through preparation, allies, and the use of clever tools, gifts from gods and friends. Perseus's story emphasizes humility and reciprocity. Help is often needed to achieve great things, and gratitude for that help is part of heroic conduct. It argues against the myth of solitary genius and points toward cooperation as a moral and practical necessity. These figures also illuminate the ancient Greeks' perspective on fate and agency. Heroes are shaped by prophecies and divine intervention, yet their choices matter. The tension between destiny and decision is a recurring lesson. We may not control every outcome, but we are responsible for how we respond. In every myth there is a test of judgment, temper, or compassion that reveals character more than prowess. Finally, the gods themselves are part of the lesson. They are capricious, jealous, and often petty. By contrast, the best human responses are those rooted in moderation, justice, and humility. The myths act as moral laboratories where extremes are dramatized so audiences can learn the value of balance. The Greek ideal of sophrosony, moderation and self-control, runs like a moral current beneath the sword clashes and divine squabbles. When we unmask these heroes, what emerges is not a set of perfect models, but a complex mirror for our own strengths and failings. They demand that we reckon with consequences, temper our cleverness with compassion, curb our pride, and work with others. In that sense, Greek heroes are not relics of a distant past. They are perennial teachers, asking each generation to interpret their stories and live the lessons anew. Their masks may be legendary, but the truths they reveal are unmistakably human.